So, whew, okay, I'm like all over the place. What's happening? Okay, hello everyone. I am here for another video, obviously. Today I'm going to revert back to good old season 5 and talk about, I guess I should say, what my top 8 favorite episodes were, because there's 16 in each season, and so I like to divide things up evenly. So everybody probably has like a different top 8 or a different opinion on which ones were the best, and so if yours are not the same as mine, which I'm sure they're not, there's probably a lot of mine on your list, but even if they're not the same, that's okay. We all are gonna have a different list, I think. Just gonna like jump right into it. And these are in no particular order. These are just like, there's no particular order, no like worst to best or whatever. It's just the top 8. They are in no order whatsoever. So episode 9 is the first one that I wrote down, which is What Happened and What's Going On. This is of course the episode where Tyrese dies. Now, as angry as I am that Tyrese is dead, y'all have no idea how mad I really am that he's gone. I absolutely love Tyrese. Okay, so this is the episode that Tyrese died in. Now, as angry as I am that Tyrese died, I think he had one of the most beautiful deaths I think I've ever seen in the medium of film, television, whatever. I mean, just the whole way that they put it together. How in the beginning you think it's really Beth's funeral when in reality it's Tyrese. Just everything, how they did it was just so beautiful. If you've seen the reaction video, then you know, I just like, it was too much for me, okay? Like 5 seconds in, I'm like, it was absolutely beautiful. It's definitely one of the best of the season. Even though I'm pissed that Tyrese died and that even happened, it was still great, you know? Not only did you have that whole thing going on with Tyrese, but you also kind of got a glimpse of kind of what's in the future, you know, with the wolves not far, spray painted on the walls. Technically they're like the scavengers in the comics, but they're the wolves in the show. So you kind of have that little nod to the wolves, which was, I love how they do that stuff on the show. It was kind of in the distance back behind Michonne, so it's kind of like showing that it's not there yet, but it's coming. Great, like, Rick and Michonne moments happen. Y'all know that, like, those two are, like, my everything. So, it's just so many beautiful things happen with them. Episode 5 is next, which is Self-Help. This one... But this is, of course, the episode with Abraham and Glenn and Maggie and Greedom, as they call themselves. This is the episode with them where they're, like, trying to make it to Washington on their own. Doesn't happen. Spoiler, it doesn't happen. I thought there was you saw a lot of really cool stuff with Abraham, because I always like Abraham, you know, he's one of my favorites, definitely. You know, his backstory and kind of seeing where he was beforehand, and the ending of that episode with Eugene running to him, you know, being chased by walkers and saying that he has a mission. It's just like, it's so... I just love how they always put these things together, you know? It's like, they do it at the perfect time, and I'm just like, oh... You know, you had a lot of, you know, you finally saw Glenn with people other than Maggie. You know, not that that bothers me, because I love, those two are adorable together. But I do like to see Glenn and Maggie both, like, talk to other people and do things with other people. So you had them kind of off doing other things. You had Maggie trying to pull Abraham out of whatever trance he was in. You had Glenn off with the girls, and it was just... oh, so good. And you rarely ever get to laugh very much with this show, I feel, but if Abraham is around, you are guaranteed a laugh, and he made me laugh through the whole episode. The next one is episode 3, 4 Walls and a Roof. This is the episode where Rick and the gang slaughter the termites, whatever you want to call them. I thought there was like a lot of really cool character development. I liked seeing the stuff going on with Gabriel. I thought that it was really interesting. You know, I know a lot of people don't like Gabriel, but I love him. Yeah, I think it might have to do with, like, Gabriel in the comics or something. And I hope that he's going to turn into that, because I adore him. I think he's I love Gabriel. I do. I know that he makes mistakes, and I'm not, you know, blind to his mistakes, but I love him to death, and everybody hates him, and it makes me so upset. But we saw a lot of really cool stuff with Gabriel, you know, and then the whole seeing, like, Rick slaughter somebody always, like, gets me hot and bothered, because good Lord have mercy. Has that beard, it just, oh. So he had the beard, and he had that, like, coat, that, you know, that coat that he always wears, and he was just hacking them to pieces, and I was like, oh my god. It was gruesome, and it's just almost like, you know, whoa, but it was fantastic. The only thing about it is I wish that those Terminus people would have hung around a little bit longer. I feel like we just got introduced to them and already they were getting killed. I don't know, which obviously they were like really trying to hurry up and get to Alexandria this season, so I guess that's why they got so cut short. Great episode. And then you kind of see how everybody else reacts to what they've done. They're like, oh, Lynn and Maggie standing over there like scared half to death. It was just great. The next one is episode 1, No Sanctuary. This one is at a tie for my favorite of the whole season, just because this one, not only was it the first reaction video I've ever did, to the show anyway, it was just so action-packed. It was in your face every second. There was like, you didn't have a chance to rest and chill out before something else crazy was going on. You were just like losing your mind the whole time. But it was a great, like, first episode. There was so much going on. There was, like, you got flashbacks. You got to see what happened to those people before everything. You got to see what's happening with our people. You know, Rick and them were in a whole different area, and the rest of them were trapped in that train car trying to figure out what to do. And then Carol's going through there blowing everything up and killing everybody. That's what Carol does. It was just so great. Just so in your face, so much stuff is happening, things. It was awesome. But No Sanctuary. It was impeccable. I loved it. Episode 7, Crossed, is next. This is the one where, this is when Rick and them get to Atlanta and kind of start trying to figure out what to do, and he's like beating everybody's behind in and like just pointing guns at people, screaming at them. Like, I just love when Rick gets mad and like just does terrible things. I don't know why, but I love it. You know, and then this is also the episode where, you know, Michonne and Carl and Judith are all still at the church, and Gabriel like tries to break out and brings all them walkers back and just is a mess. So you've got Michonne like slaying walkers with Judith on her back and just badassery all the way around. You know, Rick and them, Daryl almost dying, which freaked everybody out, which he didn't almost die. He just stuck his hand in a walker's mouth, which, how smart is that? But, you know, once again, just stuff going on. I love when stuff is just going on, and don't get me wrong, I do love like the slow-paced episodes, but I do love when like there's so much happening that you literally don't know what to do. I love those. They give me heart attacks, but that's okay. The next one is episode 10, Them. This is, of course, the episode where they're out on the road. Tyrese has just died, and they're starving to death. They're like, you know, they don't have a car because it's run out of gas. There's no food. There's no water. They're like at the absolute worst, I think, that they've ever been in. And I think it kind of goes to show just kind of how strong they really are and how much they really care about one another. You know, they grabbed each other up and they said, you know, we gotta keep going, you know, no matter how hard it gets. One of my favorite parts of the episode is when Aaron shows up doing the stranger danger thing. But, and Rick's inspirational, I love his inspirational speeches. While they're sitting at the fire about his, you know, grandfather being in the war, and kind of talks about how he, you know, would just kind of shut himself down and didn't really allow himself to live until he was able to. It's just a really beautiful episode. You know, there was a couple like action-packed things that went down, but for the most part it was very monotonous. You know, very dreary and quiet and just it was a very somber episode. I thought it was a great episode though. I can watch all of these on this list over and over again and still feel the same way that I did the first time I saw them. Let's see, the next one is episode 2, Strangers. This is the episode when they find Gabriel. Sweet little Gabriel. Oh, him up on top of that rock, like freaking out. It was great. And, you know, seeing them go to the church and hunt everything down and kind of finally settle in somewhere. And, I mean, they were still on high alert. They were still worried, but they kind of let loose a little bit. You know, they were drinking some wine, you know, sitting back and relaxing and stuff. I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it was the episode where Gabriel shows up. And then, of course, at the end is when the Terminus people, Gareth and his crew, show up and grab Bob and eat him. You know, of course Bob is bitten, so joke's on them. It was just a great episode. You know, once again, the way it was shot, kind of what the hell? I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Phantom of the Opera for some reason. Gareth, kind of hearing his, like, angry, like, talk with Bob overlaid over Rick and them smiling and joking. I just love how they shoot this show. It's just the way that they do it. Oh, it's beautiful. Whoever edits that show, job well done. Fantastic. And then the final one, I want to end on a high note because I freaking love this episode so much. This is like my favorite of the whole season. Episode 11, The Distance, is my final one. Oh, it's just, there's just so much in this episode that I love. Aaron and Eric are in here, like, Maggie and Glenn and Michonne and Abraham and Rosita going out and looking for the other person and looking for the cards and, like, having that little thing. And then Rick and, oh my god, and then Rick and Aaron, like, with the applesauce. Little Judy. Oh, Rick, like, punching the lights out of Aaron. And it's like, I could just hear, like, Maggie or Beth or somebody just in the distance saying, you know what Daddy says, you know, we all got jobs to do. You know, I could just hear them in the background because, like, everybody was having to do something and everybody had a task that they had to get done in this episode. And, you know, it's just, like, the telepathic, you know, speak between Rick and Michonne, like, the whole episode. Like, the hand touch at the end of the episode, just everything about this episode was so great, and I loved it so much. Without a doubt, my favorite of the whole season. It's just so good. It was just so good. Everything about it was so good. I have nothing but good things to say about that episode. It's that good. Rick and Michonne mostly are why I love that episode so much, because they had so many beautiful scenes together. It was too much for me. And then, like, the music at the end, and then when they get to Alexandria, and it was just like, oh my god, like, feels were everywhere. That is my top 8 favorite episodes of season 5. What are your top 8 what are your top 8 seasons? What are your top 8 episodes of season 5? If you would like to, you can feel free to tell me in the comments section what your favorite episodes were, why they were your favorite, what were your not favorite episodes, you know, the ones that you didn't like so much, you know, whatever you want to basically whatever you want to say, you can tell me. My ears are wide open to hear it. Until next time, I'm Officer Friendly, over and out. Bye-bye!